Friends, about 2 years ago, when the idea of the India Ideas Conclave was first mooted, and we had some meetings, preliminary meetings to discuss, what I was immediately afraid of at that juncture was the issue, are we being a bit too ambitious? Can we actually carry out such a project, such an ambitious program? After 2 conclaves, what strikes me is, why are we being so modest? Actually, we've only just about begun to touch the areas of potential, the reach which can happen. Over the past 3 days, we've been treated to an explosion of ideas covering different themes, not all of them necessarily related to each other, but all of them having an autonomous importance of their own, from connectivity, politics, economics, the environment, faiths, etc. These sessions are important. These sessions are important because, not necessarily because they give a coherent, uniform point of view. They don't. They suggest a diversity of thought, a range of concerns which touches upon everybody. But much more important than these sessions is the fact that this conclave has managed to bring together various people working in different and not necessarily related fields. They work sometimes in isolation, sometimes they work within the larger echo chamber of Delhi. Some of them may be absolute individuals or live in complete isolation. And what is important for them, and what I feel that this conclave really serves, is that it offers a very great opportunity to bring together people, to tell them that no, you're not the only one who thinks in a certain way, who has certain common concerns. You are part of a larger intellectual ecosystem. And that intellectual ecosystem is vibrant. It has original ideas. It has ideas which are still in an embryonic form, which need to be nurtured and fully developed. But all of you are bound by a common concern of thinking what is good for India, what is good for Indian civilization, what is good for India's larger outreach in the world. Which is why this conclave has consciously sought to bring together people not only from within India, but from outside, to give people a flavor and actually suggest that the only narratives which you hear sometimes in the world, in the larger dominant intellectual scene, are not the only ones, that there are very vibrant alternatives which are on offer, and it is your duty to actually nurture them, to bring them into fruition, and bring them actually into the cutting edge of ideas. This is still work in progress. These are very small tentative steps which have been taken in the direction of creating a larger intellectual ecosystem. And the conclave is just one attempt. There are various other attempts by different groups, different organizations which are going on all over the country and across the world. And this is meant to complement that, just as I hope that they can complement us in this effort which we're doing in Goa. So I believe that when we meet again next year, for I hope a grander conclave, we'll have actually brought it to a takeoff point where this conclave is actually seen as a necessary event in the larger intellectual calendar of India. We will not then get negative articles saying, oh, my friend Patrick French, I don't know if he's here or not, oh, there was an article saying, oh, why has French actually decided to come to this jamboree in Goa? As if he shouldn't, as if there's some pariahs meeting somewhere. This is to be expected to a certain extent, certain measure of hostility, suspicion. Actually, it's more than hostility, it's suspicion. What are these people actually doing? When you say that actually they are exchanging ideas, they are connecting with each other, that to them sounds too innocent, but that is the reality. And I hope with your experiences you'll bear that out. You'll be the ambassadors. When you go back to your respective spheres, you'll be the ambassadors to say that yes, this was a conclave which was worth attending. I personally gained from it, and hopefully some of that gain will rub off on society. With these words, I know we're coming to the end of it and we're slightly pressed for time. People have flights to catch, etc. And with these words, I invite Nirmala ji to deliver her address. Nirmala ji.
Namaskar. I've been here since the morning, and my regret is that I couldn't be here since day before. I've actually missed out on a lot. I was hoping that Swapan would give us a roundup of all that had happened, but I think for want of time, he's concluded with a crisp narration of what is expected of all of us. I certainly would take this opportunity to share a few thoughts without, of course, taking much time, because all of us are very keen to hear Honorable Governor speak. The thoughts that I have may sound as if I'm speaking as a spokesperson for the government, but I suppose I can't escape that, but I will certainly put forth a thought. Even before independence, I think a certain culture was being built, a certain well thought out, even if it is sort of spread out thinly, well thought out culture was effectively being put into force, whereby certain thought, certain school of thought, certain people who did not belong to the left wing or the socialist groups were slowly but surely being kept out of public narration, public discourse, public debate, and that was steadily but untiringly carried out. And I say this because even before independence, and essentially post-1910, this has been a well-orchestrated pan-national attempt that you will find it similarly practiced in the United States, in India, in any other country, but it was a very clear strategy, which I think many of us, probably coming as we do from this culture, which was nicely put by Sri Dattaji in the morning, we wait for the 99th or the 100th sin, so we've allowed it. Where we did not fight for our legitimate space to contribute to public discourse. We were also busy with the independence movement. We were also busy in many other within India issues. So this got reinforced that post 1947, you find, of course, the rulers then, the Congress party, happily allowing that because they were the inheritors of the USSR and China legacy, and with which the Congress Party held its sympathies. And as a result, you find institutions where, as the demonstrated, the culture which gets demonstrated through arts, discussions, culture, painting, fine arts, and so on, in every such institution, you had people who were certainly not from that school of thought which was opposed to the communist or the socialist ideology. As a result, gradually, even after 47, when this was reinforced by the Congress Party till after Mrs. Indira Gandhi too, you clearly had no space for ourselves. And when you didn't have a space, you didn't fight back too. You had your own little conclaves in different places, but it did not capture public attention. And as a result, the flood of thought which was coming in was essentially from the leftist school of thought. And ironically, unfortunately, today we've reached a stage, and it sort of pricked me, hurt me when I heard Tablin Singh say, and I'm not holding her responsible, I'm not faulting her, that where are the intellectuals? Where can they be? Obviously, they've been driven out, they've been kept out, they've been phased out. They are in their own little pockets, but I think they are with the 99 sins, syndrome that, all right, you keep doing what you want, we keep doing ours. We are not worried about coming and demanding our space for ourselves. So, of course, Madhuji, who's sitting in front of me, is an exception. She fights for her space. So, you do have a situation of intellectually, you have the situation of institutions, public institutions, institutions which do contribute to the public discourse of the country, being completely devoid of those who can stand up to communism, socialism, and so on. As a result, today, it can be, even among ourselves, a question as to where are we? It pricks your, self-respect, but that's the truth. But that's not to say that that is legitimate and we are not. And when we start asserting ourselves of late, particularly in the last 10 years, you have resistance, to say the least, and you have also a public standing up to say, how come you dare to speak? So that is one stream which has been completely reinforced over the decades in this country, and the first NDA government suffered for want of people who could speak up for them, and a new kind of unique or a peculiar situation has arisen now, where you probably have people speaking, but you also have a situation which I'm tempted to go back to something which I had read from the Mahabharata, talking about Ganarajya, the republics, the constitution of republics. Bhishma very clearly says, republics are constituted with trust, and they are reinforced with trust. And when they are reinforced with trust among communities, among people within the republic, it's a happy place to be in. But republics also have fallen into decay, and they've been devastated, where the fear complex between communities have led to a lot of conflict. And I say here with a certain sense of responsibility that the fear complex is what is being played up now, where unconnected, unrelated incidents are being quoted to say, oh my God, this country is becoming a place where we are not safe. Earlier, to make people safe, there was a sense of appeasement. Give them everything, they'll be happy, and that's how we can keep them happy. The counter of it is now to say, oh my God, this place is not safe, because link these unconnected instances. And I'm happy again to go back and quote when Madhuji rebutted saying, oh well, the attacks, even on the And they had also criticized communities which were not Hindu. And if you're looking for motives which you have not established as it is, you have looked at only one community as possible enemy, but you're not talking about others, even about whom they had criticized. So there is an agenda to identify one community only when you're raking up sense of fear. So the Ganarajya description, and that the ruler will have to make sure that all communities, all people have faith and trust among one another, is the argument on which this government is looking at. Give development, reach out to all the communities, make them accessible to resources, improve their standard of living. You probably will have a safer and a peaceful, one trusting the other kind of an environment. No, but we don't want that. So the first one which I derived from pre-independence days, and the second one which I would like to share with you is we also had a culture in this country, and I'm sure which is prevalent in many other countries, that you may have political differences, but once you are elected, you have elected a government, your prime minister, once you've chosen your president, our president, our prime minister. You would own that up. This is our country, our prime minister, our government. I may criticize them as much as I want, but they are ours. But unfortunately, that very section which believed in appeasement, which now is happy to stoke this fear sense, is also not owning up. Oh no, he's not my prime minister. I would deride him within the country. I would call him names within the country. And I would do that even going abroad. And the classic height was reached very recently yesterday, when you seek the help of a neighboring country who are continuously at odds with us, to dismantle this government. To what extent is this resistance to this alternative school of thought for which the public mandate has been given, that you would go to the extent of even seeking the actual, they have betrayed their true sense. We'll do anything to disband this government which has come with the collective mandate, but which we don't approve of. Which is the second trait in this debate which I want to share with you, which is unbecoming of this country. We've never had a disowning sense of, he's not my prime minister, he's not my so-and-so. This country has had this sense of pride. I remember most of us are quoted often as to how Shri Vajpayee, even during post-1971, had praised Mrs. Gandhi for the valor that she showed. No politics in this country, and the right example which was quoted about Jyoti Basu's feet being touched by Mamta, is a culture of this country. But you want to have a newer culture of disowning somebody who's now come with popular mandate? And this is picking heat, this is having traction. The public discourse, therefore, I want to submit to you without taking much time, is suffering for want of rebuttals, want of counter-arguments, and want of clearly collective voice which can question the false arguments which are being put forth. And that false argument and that kind of a framework has got to be disbanded, which has been there from pre-independence, which has been encouraged by the Congress, and we have to find our legitimate place in all the public institutions. That is one thing. And the second is this culture of disowning people who have been elected. I don't need to repeat instances. These were the very people who wrote to the US saying, deny him visa. These were the very people who wrote, even now trying to seek to bring in defame to the Prime Minister. These are the very people who now seek all kinds of international forum to protest about something which is not true at all. So the second quality, the second issue that I'm raising here is of that culture of this country of ownership. You believe that this is what is your government, and today that section which disowns will have to be exposed. If I can say that is the second. Third, I think which I would want to share, and with that I conclude, is again drawing from the Mahabharata. And probably that is the reason why the idea of this prime minister agitates those who don't accept him. There is a dialogue between Bhishma and Yudhishthira, very clearly saying, do historical circumstances, in other words, the time, make the ruler? Or does the ruler determine the times of the day, or the times, or the historical circumstances for us? Bhishma clearly says, it's not the time which determines the nature of the ruler or the circumstances in which you're being governed. It is the ruler who defines. It is the ruler who creates the circumstances. And today in India, you have a government which is very clearly setting forth the agenda, saying we cannot hold back any longer, we have to move forward. And I'll take small examples. And this is also part of what influences public discourse. I'm sorry to say, not so complete information informs our public discourse. Who is to blame? I'm not getting to that. Maybe even I'm to blame. But the point is, I'll take the latest example of this crisis on pulses. Dal, tur dal, reaches 200 rupees. What is the central government doing? This country has been importing dal for I don't know how many years, decades. We grow far lesser pulses than what we want for our domestic consumption. As a result, we import pulses. And we import pulses not through the old-fashioned, Food Corporation of India, STC, no. Pulses can be imported by anybody. There are no duties. Anyone can bring pulses into this country. And as is done by merchants normally, they look into the market, they see the situation which is evolving. Much before the harvests happen, they look at the countries which produce the dal, talk about it, bid for it, bring it into this country and put it into the market. This year also this happened. The only difference, that which was brought in was not put into the market. It was hoarded. And when the public institutions which no longer engage in procuring or bidding and importing realized that this was going to be a crisis, we didn't suspect hoarding at that time. We made sure, and this I'm talking about June, we made sure tenders were called for import of dal. There were a lot of hitches because all that was being produced abroad was already picked up, very little left over which we wanted to bid for, and that tender therefore was bid at a very high price, notwithstanding we imported it. To cut a long story short, dal arrives in the ports, not a state government wants to lift it. Except, of course, 2 states from the south which paid up the advance and said, give us the dal because we want to distribute, we can't afford to have this public anger. The rest of them did not even pick it up. But I won't blame them. I'm not naming them, nor am I blaming them. Why is it? And this is where the uninformed or half-informed public debate leads to perceptions which are unfair. Many states, and this is where our public discourse has to be very cautious. Many states today do not have the infrastructure to pick up dal and distribute. You'll be shocked to notice. They don't even have a system through which, at times of crisis like this, they can reach out to the people with the essential goods. The dal came, large quantity of dal came, and they were lying there. We even came up with a proposal saying, we'll clean it, that's kacha dal which has come, we'll clean it, we'll ready it, ready to use, we'll give it to you. But still, I cannot believe that a government would not want to pick it up because it will reduce the price and bring in some goodwill. But why won't they want to do it? Because there is uneven development in this country. Some regions do not have basic infrastructure, some others do not have something else. A third is probably much better. And when this is the reality, one stroke conclusion. What is the central government doing about the dal crisis? Oh my God, we've got the dal. It's all right there. Please take it. Whichever state wants it, please pick it up. No. And the reality is the infrastructure is not complete and the development therefore is not comparable in different regions. So if we are talking, let's nuance our debates. And if this is the way India has got to be governed, we've got a lot of work to do. With the intellectual spaces being left without our people, with a section which is hell-bent on saying, this elected government is not mine, I'll go to any extent to defame it, I'll seek the help of even my enemy neighbor, it doesn't matter. So these are the reality. I'm sure the Ideas Conclave, I'm sure has a lot to offer for us to think and work from the government. I'll certainly value all the inputs, but I thought I'll share these. And thank you very much, Ram Madhavji, for giving me this opportunity. I wish the conclave all the good. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirmala ji. I now invite Her Excellency Srimati Mridula Sinha, Honorable Governor of Goa, to deliver the chair remarks. Ma'am.
प्रिय डॉक्टर निर्मला जी, प्रिय श्री स्वप्नदास गुप्ता जी, श्री दत्तात्रेय जी, श्री राम माधव जी, and all the intellectual delegates coming from all parts of country for discussing learning from civilization. I think the subject has chosen by India Foundation, and this subject at this juncture of time needs to be gone very deep. When telephonic request came to me to attend the meeting, I thought and wanted to know the subject. And when the subject was known to me, I was very happy. And that's why I am here with you. I welcome you. Although you are going to depart shortly from Goa, but as first citizen of Goa, I welcome you all. Because I think that for this type of seminar, this type of discussion, Goa is very favorable. Because Goa is very near to nature. Goa is culturally very rich. And it is socially also very harmonious. So I think that this subject should be discussed here only. I came to know that the 10 or 12 subjects had been taken. But when I saw that talking about women, only 3 women were present on the dais. It hurt me. Because the women problem or the contribution of women in studying the civilization or contributing in the development of society is not less than men. So while discussing the situation of women or the contribution of women, male should be there. Because we think that the problem of women are not only the problem of women, they are the problem of society. And I always say that for the resolution of the problems, the male should become first. So I thought that, but this time we are two and our Sapnas Gupta is only one male member here. So, but I was thinking that after the independence, all over the country, thousands and thousands seminars have taken place. One day I was thinking that only on women, how many seminars have taken? And what is the result? The outcome of the seminar should reach the proper place in the hands of the proper person. And I asked somebody that from this conclave, the last year also, the issues came in the hands of the organization. I came to know that no, it went in proper hands and proper place. So I am very much satisfied for this type of seminar organized by this foundation. So you have discussed so many problems, and you have discussed the situation, the rise and falls of civilization, and how and what we can learn from that. As I said, that this is the proper time. We all know that present is the fruit of past and seed of future. So we have built our future. We have to build our future. And on this juncture, we must remember our past and must learn something for future. I always say that पुरानी नींव नया निर्माण. महिलाओं के बारे में मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ उसका निर्माण कैसा हो, पुरानी नींव नया निर्माण. उसी तरह से हम जब पूरे समाज को लेके चलना चाहते हैं, मुझे पता नहीं चला मैं कब हिंदी में शिफ्ट कर गई, क्योंकि मेरी अपनी भाषा हिंदी है. आई एम मच मोर कंफर्टेबल इन हिंदी. सो नहीं, कुछ लोग हैं जो इंग्लिश नहीं जानते हैं, इसलिए मुझे थोड़ी परेशानी हुई अपने आप. तो जब भी हम कोई निर्माण करते हैं हमें पुराने पीछे की ओर देखना पड़ता है. और पीछे की ओर जब देखना पड़ता है तो मैं गांव में जाती हूँ. इतने बड़े सेमिनार में सारी बातें तो होती हैं, लेकिन हमारे सिविलाइजेशन को, हमारे जीवन मंत्र को, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, इन चीज़ों को गांव में अभी भी लोग कैसे कलेजे से लगा के हैं, कैसे जी रहे हैं, कैसे अपने जीवन में ढाल कर रखा है उन्होंने. मैं गांव में आज भी जाती हूँ, उसको देख कर आती हूँ. हम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः के सूत्र को सारे विश्व में ले जाते हैं. हम प्रार्थना में यहाँ पे उसका उच्चारण करते हैं. लेकिन जब मैं गवर्नर हुई तो एक महिला जो बिहार से मैं आती हूँ, आज भी सुबह शाम बिहार के बारे में सोचती हूँ. गोवा बीच में रहता है, गोवा के बारे में भी सोचती हूँ. तो उस महिला ने मुझे बधाई दी. मुझसे 1-2 साल बड़ी होगी, छोटी होगी. उन्होंने मुझे बधाई दी. बधाइयाँ तो बहुत आई, आज भी मिल रहा है बधाई. उसने मुझे कहा, जैसा सुख तुम्हारे घर में आया है, ईश्वर करे हर घर में ऐसा ही सुख आए. उस महिला ने मेरे सुख को क्या समझा. घर के लोग तो गवर्नर नहीं हो सकते, वो राज्यपाल का पद भी नहीं समझ पाई, लेकिन उनके मन से यही आशीर्वाद निकलता रहता है जब किसी के घर में सुख आता है. वो विभिन्न प्रकार की जो व्रत कथाएं हैं, उन व्रत कथाओं में आज भी कथा के अंत में यही है, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः. उसके शब्द अलग है, उसके भाव अलग है. आज भी गांव में लोग जिस प्रकार से जीते हैं, यदि हम उसमें ढूंढेंगे तो हमें कैसे सिविलाइजेशन की बातें समझ में बातें आती. मैं मिथिलांचल से आती हूँ। मिथिलांचल में एक लोकगीत गाया जाता है अभी भी, और उस लोकगीत की बात जब मैं समझने लगी तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि ये तो हमारा जो मूल मंत्र है, मूल जीवन का ध्येय है, वो लोकगीत में वो महिला पुरुष जो भी गाते हैं वो कहते हैं कि हम मिथिलांचल को नहीं छोड़ेंगे, हम यहीं रहेंगे, मिथिला में है ये सब सुख आराम, यहाँ सब सुख आराम है। सागपात खोटी खाटी दिवस गमबई, हम मिथिला में रहो। व्हाट इज दिस? हम भोग की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं, विकास के नाम पर हम सब लोगों को भोग की ओर ढकेल रहे हैं। हमारा तो जीवन का लक्ष्य सारी इंद्रियों पर कंट्रोल, नियंत्रण करने का था, संयम का था। हम किस तरह से भोग की ओर भाग रहे हैं, उस पर नियंत्रण आज हमारे भाव पर, हमारे व्यवहार पर हम किस प्रकार से नियंत्रण करेंगे, इस प्रकार के मैं सोचती हूँ कि इस तरह का एक विषय अगले जो हमारा सेमिनार होगा उसमें किस प्रकार से सोचा जाए आज की परिस्थिति में भी। क्योंकि यदि हम भोग की ओर सबको ढकेल रहे हैं तो फिर कहीं पर ये सारे आतंकवाद, सारी चीज़ें जो हम देख रहे हैं, जो असुरक्षा का भाव हम देख रहे हैं, जो भय का भाव देख रहे हैं, आज घर से लेके दफ्तर तक महिलाएं भयभीत हैं, बच्चे भयभीत हैं स्कूल जाने में, ये कौन सा विकास है? यहाँ जो बैठे लोग चिंतक हैं, विचारक हैं, उनको विकास की एक अलग रूपरेखा इस आधार पर कि कम से कम जो समाज है वो भयहीन होना चाहिए, भय मुक्त होना चाहिए। भय मुक्त समाज यदि हम बनाएंगे तभी जब हम अपने सिविलाइजेशन से, अपनी सभ्यता से ये सोचेंगे कि किस समय में उससे बातें निकालेंगे, किस तरह से समाज को भय मुक्त रखा जाता था, किस तरह हमारे यहाँ ताला नहीं लगाए जाते थे, किस तरह से महिलाएं सुरक्षित रहती थी। तो घर में ताला ही नहीं लगा हुआ, ये तो हम पढ़े हुए, हमने बचपन में अपने गांव में देखा हुआ। अब कितने ताले की जरूरत हो गई, ताला कंपनियों का कितनी वाह हो गया, उनको कितना ताला बेचना पड़ता है, जरा सोचिए। तो यह समाज जो हम बना रहे हैं, विकास हो रहा है, हमारी सरकार भी इतनी तरह के विकास की बात करी है, डेवलपमेंट, बहुत खुशी की बात है। क्योंकि हमारे देश में, हमारे घर में सुविधाएं आनी चाहिए, सुविधापूर्ण जीवन हो, लेकिन वह भयमुक्त भी जीवन हो। इसके साथ दोनों को, संयम और भोग को मिलाकर के, भोग की परिभाषा को आज के संदर्भ में डाल के हम किस प्रकार सोचेंगे, ये बहुत जरूरी काम है। हमने बड़े बड़े सिद्धांत, बड़े व्यवहार की बात की है, लेकिन करते हैं हमेशा, लेकिन जो एक व्यक्ति है, एक इंडिविजुअल है, वो कहाँ से सीख रहा है, वो क्या सीख रहा है। जब मैं सभ्यता और संस्कृति की बात करती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है कि हमारे गांव में पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी बाबा से पोता सीख रहा है, उसी की संगति में बैठता है, सारी बातें जीवन जीने की उसने यदि आज पूछिए, बहुत लोग जो बाबा के साथ रहे हैं, दादा के साथ रहा है, ग्रैंडफादर के साथ रहा है, वो दादा से सीखा है। लेकिन हमारे सामने एक भी समस्या आ गई कि आज 3 पीढ़ियां साथ साथ नहीं। हमने एक स्लोगन दिया, संग चले जब 3 पीढ़ियां, चढ़े विकास की सभी सीढ़ी। हमारी सभ्यता में वृद्धाश्रम में वृद्धों को रखने का रिवाज नहीं, वो हमारी पूंजी है। हमारे घर में रहकर हमको सब कुछ जीने की कला सिखाते हैं, वही कला है, उनकी भाषा में, अलग अलग भाषा में, अनगढ़ भाषा में, वही सिखाते हैं जो हमारे वेद में है, शास्त्र में है। जिस सभ्यता का हम गुणगान करते हैं, जो सभ्यता नहीं मिटी, सारी सभ्यताएं मिट गई, हम बहुत गर्व से कहते हैं। लेकिन उस सभ्यता का जो विभिन्न रूप, जो लोगों तक, इंडिविजुअल तक पहुंचना चाहिए। छोटी छोटी बातों से बनती है बड़ी बात। और आज जो चीज़ें जीवन और व्यवहार में सिखा दी जाती थी पहले, हंसते खेलते, बहुत दूर हो रहे हैं। दादा के पास पोते नहीं, बहुत कम है। सभ्यता के विकास में हमने बड़े बड़े शहरों में जो डीडीए बनाया, जेडीए बनाया, वहाँ मध्यम वर्ग के लिए केवल 2 बेडरूम है, एक पति पत्नी के लिए, एक बच्चों के लिए। मध्यम वर्ग के घर में दादा दादी के लिए कमरे नहीं। बहुत छोटी सी बात है, लेकिन केवल और केवल मध्यम वर्ग के लोगों के लिए 2 ही कमरा हम बना कर देते हैं, तो वो बूढ़ा बूढ़ी कहाँ रहेंगे? उनके लिए वृद्धाश्रम की व्यवस्था करनी पड़ेगी। सभ्यता की बात जो उन्होंने सीखी वो अपने नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को कैसे दें? इसलिए जो सभ्यता की बात हमने सीखी है, पहले से हमारे पास है, आज आगे हम सीखना चाहते हैं, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि वो हमारे हर व्यक्ति के अंदर, बच्चों के अंदर, पाठ्यक्रम के अंदर। लेकिन हमारे पाठ्यक्रम में अभी भी जो ऐतिहासिक महिलाएं हैं, सीता है, सावित्री है, मंदोदरी है, इतनी सशक्त महिला है, किसी की कहानी नहीं पढ़ाई जाती। सभ्यता से जो लर्निंग होती है वो किताब के माध्यम से नहीं होगी। तो इस जंक्शन पर हमें बहुत गंभीरता से सोचना है। और इतने इंटेलेक्चुअल्स जो सारे देश के आए हैं, एक एक व्यक्ति अपने में एक एक संस्था को लिए हुए है। केवल इतने लोग अपनी संस्थाओं के माध्यम से यदि सही रास्ते पर देश को ले चलने की का प्रण करते हैं, तो मैं समझती हूँ बहुत ज़्यादा होगा। लेकिन हमारी स्थिति अभी है, एक कहावत है, बाबा को हाथी था, हम साइकिल लिए घूमते। हमारे ग्रैंडफादर को एक एलिफेंट था, लेकिन हमारे हाथ में केवल उसका जंजीर है। इस प्रकार की गोष्ठियों का मकसद यही है कि जिनके हाथ में वो जंजीर है, कम से कम जंजीर तो है, फिर उस जंजीर में बांधने के लिए हाथी चाहिए। वो हाथी को लेने का एक प्रयास है। फिर से हमको पुनर्निर्माण, पुनः भारतीयता की ओर जाना है। जा रहा है देश, जा रहा है विदेश, सारा ये वर्ल्ड जा रहा है। 170 देशों में योग दिवस मनाया गया। अभी मैं गई थी लॉस वेगास, वहाँ पे 1200 स्टॉल्स थे और सब के सब जो नेचुरोपैथी ये होते हैं और आयुर्वेद के होते हैं, उन्हीं के स्टॉल्स थे। मैंने भी एक इंडियन स्टॉल था, उसका मैंने उद्घाटन किया। और इतने लोग इंडिया में आयुर्वेद की क्या स्थिति है उसको सुनने के लिए तैयार थे। बहुत सारे CEO को मैंने बात किया और मैंने कहा कि आप गोवा में आइए, यहाँ बहुत पोटेंशियल है, आप यहाँ पर उगाइए, बहुत कुछ बेचिए। मेरे कहने का अभिप्राय है कि हमें पुनः अपनी ओर, जैसा आज हो रहा है, हम देख करके चीज़ें निकाल के ला रहे हैं, तो उसको आगे भी किस तरह से हम बढ़ाएंगे, ले जाएंगे, उसको ठीक जगह पे ये सारी चीज़ें जानी चाहिए। मैं संक्षेप में, मैं कहानीकार हूँ, कहानी लिखती हूँ, तो मुझे कभी कभी लगता है कि हर जगह बात करने जाऊँ तो एक कहानी भी सुना दूँ। तो एक छोटी सी कहानी नहीं है, वो प्रसंग है मेरे जीवन का, मैं सुनाकर अपनी बात, क्योंकि अभी अब विदा की वेला है। बहुत लोग पीछे से उठ के जा भी रहे हैं, बहुत देर हो रही है, इसलिए मैं संक्षेप में कहना चाहूँगी। और वह प्रसंग है मेरे विवाह के समय का। विदा की घड़ी आती है विवाह में, तो लड़कियां रोना धोना शुरू करती हैं, कहाँ जा रहे हैं, किसके साथ जा रहे हैं। और मैं भी जब रोना धोना मैंने भी शुरू किया, उसके बाद मुझे माँ के पास भेजा गया। माँ तो पहले से बहुत रो रही थी, मेरे ससुराल जाने का समय आ गया था, लेकिन उसने मुझे कान में कहा, डोली में बैठाकर मेरी माँ ने मेरे कान में कहा, पिता की पगड़ी की लाज रखना। मैं पगड़ी का अर्थ भी नहीं जानती थी, बिहार में लोग पगड़ी नहीं पहनते थे, मेरे पिताजी के सिर पर पगड़ी नहीं थी, और उम्र भी मेरी 16-17 साल की थी, मैं समझी नहीं। आगे मेरी डोली बढ़ी, एक घास करने वाली बुढ़िया, उसने देखा इस गांव की कोई बेटी जा रही है, वह दौड़ी हुई आई, डोली रोको रोको रोको। आज से 56 साल पहले गांव में किसी भी व्यक्ति की ये हिम्मत नहीं होती थी कि एक घास वाली बुढ़िया ने भी यदि डोली रोकी तो जमींदार की बेटी की डोली रुक गई। वो बुढ़िया मेरे पास आई, उसके दोनों हाथ मिट्टी से सने थे। उसने मेरे चेहरे पर मिट्टी के हाथ फेरे। मेरी भाभी ने जो पाउडर लगाया था वो तो वही खत्म हो गया था, आंसुओं में समाप्त हुआ पाउडर, गांव की मिट्टी लग गई। उसने सारे अंग पर हाथ फेर के कहा, ये गहना कहाँ से आया, किसने दिया? माँ ने दिया, ससुराल से आया। इस बहाने पूरे शरीर पे मिट्टी लग गई। उस बुढ़िया ने कहा, आज मैं अपने पेट की खातिर गांव की एक बेटी को, मेरे पिता का नाम नहीं लिया, गांव की एक बेटी को विदा करने उसके दरवाजे नहीं आ सके। बेटी, आज मेरे गांव की और बेटी विदा हो गई। तुम इस गांव की पगड़ी की लाज रखना। मां ने तो पिता की पगड़ी की लाज की बात कही थी, उस बुढ़िया ने तो गांव की पगड़ी की लाज कही। मुझे कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया। बहुत देर तक मैं समझने की कोशिश की, कुछ हाथ नहीं लगी। जीवन के अगले क्रम में जब उम्र बढ़ी, धीरे धीरे बुढ़िया और पिता की बात तो भूली नहीं थी। सामाजिक कार्यों में जब गई, जब बात समझ में आई, मैंने कहा वह बुढ़िया तो भारत माता थी और उसने गांव की पगड़ी की बात की, गांव की बेटी की बात की, किसी इंडिविजुअल की बेटी की बात नहीं की। और वो भारत माता के सिर पर पगड़ी रहे, उनकी लाज रहे, उनका सम्मान रहे। जितने भी सामाजिक सांस्कृतिक जितने भी कार्य होते हैं, बूंद बूंद भर उस पगड़ी की लाज के लिए है, उस पगड़ी की लाज को बचाने के लिए है। यह मेरे विदा के समय यह बात कही गई थी। आप सब भी विदा हो रहे हैं, आप सबको भी मैं चुटकी चुटकी पर विश्वास देती हूँ। इसी विश्वास के साथ भारत का निर्माण।